If you enjoy videos like this, subscribe to the channel before the video starts. It was still dark outside when he opened his garage door. Cold air rushed in like a knife. Snow was falling slowly, covering the quiet street in white. This winter was not normal. It was one of the coldest winters the town had ever seen. He stepped inside the garage and froze. Everything was gone. The shelves were empty. No food boxes. No firewood. No space heaters. No blankets. No emergency water. His heart started beating fast. Just yesterday, everything was here. He had prepared carefully. Winter food. Backup heat. Supplies to survive if power went out. Now, nothing. He stood there in silence. Only the sound was the wind outside. Then he saw it. A white paper stuck to the garage wall. He walked closer and read it slowly. HOA notice, unapproved storage items removed due to rule violations. His hands started shaking. HOA. Again. This was not the first problem. From the first day he moved into this neighborhood, HOA watched him closely. He was quiet. He followed rules. He minded his business. But one woman never liked him. Her name was Karen. She was the HOA president. She loved control. She loved rules. And she loved power. To her, people were not people. They were violations. He pulled out his phone and opened the security camera app. What he saw made his blood cold. The video showed HOA workers entering his garage early morning. They wore HOA badges. They loaded his winter supplies into a truck. Karen was there too. She stood with her arms crossed. Smiling. She pointed at boxes. She nodded. She laughed. Then the truck drove away. He felt anger, fear, and shock all at once. Outside, the wind became stronger. The weather alert on his phone buzzed. Severe winter storm warning. Possible power outages. Stay indoors. He had no supplies. No backup heat. No food. And HOA office was closed. He closed the garage door slowly and went inside his house. The heater was still working, for now. But he knew something. In this town, when snowstorms came, power always failed. He grabbed his coat and walked outside. Snow was already deep. The street was silent. Big houses stood like shadows. He walked toward Karen's mansion. Her house was huge. Lights were on. Warm yellow lights. He knocked. The door opened. Karen stood there, wearing a warm sweater. Fireplace glowing behind her. She smiled. Yes, she said. He tried to stay calm. My winter supplies were taken. The storm is coming. I need them back. Karen tilted her head. You broke HOA rules, she said. Garage storage limits. These were emergency supplies, he said. People can die in storms like this. Karen laughed softly. Rules are rules, she replied. He looked at her fireplace. The warmth. The comfort. You have heat, he said quietly. Karen's smile grew wider. Because I follow the rules, she said. Then she closed the door. He stood outside in the snow. The cold felt stronger now. As he walked back home, he noticed something strange. Many HOA board members lived on the same street. All had large homes. All had generators. All had fireplaces. They were safe. Others were not. He reached his house again. The wind howled louder. Snow hit the windows. Suddenly, the lights flickered. Once. Twice. Then darkness. The power went out. Silence filled the house. Cold silence. He sat on the couch, wrapped in his coat. Hours passed. The temperature dropped fast. Outside, the storm became violent. Snow piled high. Trees bent under the weight. He checked his phone. No signal. No help. HOA hotline? Closed. Karen? Safe and warm. He looked at the empty kitchen. This was not an accident. This was control. And Karen enjoyed it. As night went deeper, something else happened. Far away, underground, pipes started freezing. Water trapped inside them slowly expanded. Cracks formed silently. No one noticed. Not yet. In Karen's mansion, the heater worked. The generator hummed. She drank hot tea by the fire. She felt powerful. She believed she had one. But winter does not listen to rules. And karma does not ask permission. As the storm raged on, the first pipe burst. Water leaked slowly into a basement. Then another pipe cracked. Then another. While one man sat in the cold with nothing, water began to rise in the homes of those who took everything from him. And this was only the beginning. Morning came slowly, but the cold never left. He woke up shivering. The house felt like a freezer. Breath came out as white smoke. He checked the thermostat. Dead. No power. No heat. Outside, snow covered everything like a thick wall. Cars were buried. Roads were gone. He wrapped himself tighter and looked outside the window. Karen's mansion stood tall at the end of the street. Smoke rose from her chimney. Warm. Bright. Alive. He remembered the first day he met her. It was moving day. He had just parked his truck when a shadow blocked the sun. Karen. Clipboard in hand. Perfect smile. Cold eyes. Welcome to the community, she said. Let's go over the rules. That day, she measured his fence. She checked his mailbox color. She counted his trash bins. Not once did she say hello like a normal human. From that moment, she watched him. Every small thing became a violation. Grass 1 inch too high. Car parked 10 minutes too long. Holiday lights up 1 day late. But others? HOA board members were never fined. Never warned. Now, in the middle of a deadly winter, she crossed a line. He reached for his phone again. 1 bar of signal appeared. He quickly recorded a video. This is what HOA did, he said quietly. They took winter supplies before a storm. His hands shook. He posted it online. Then the signal died again. Outside, snow fell harder. Inside Karen's mansion, life was different. She sat at her long dining table. Heated floors warmed her feet. The HOA board joined her on video call. They laughed. One man joked, "At least we follow rules." Karen smiled proudly. "We keep order," she said. People need discipline. They did not talk about the storm. They did not talk about families freezing. They talked about fines. They talked about control. Then something strange happened. Karen's house made a loud cracking sound. She stopped talking. "What was that?" she asked. The sound came again. From below. The basement. She ignored it. "Probably the storm," she said. Back in the cold house, he heard a drip. Slow. Steady. Drip. Drip. Water fell from the ceiling corner. He placed a bowl under it. The house was breaking. But something else was breaking too. The silence of the neighborhood. Doors opened. People stepped outside. Confused. Cold. Angry. They looked toward the HOA homes. Lights still on. Warm glow everywhere. One neighbor shouted, "They took our supplies too." Another said, "They fined me last week." Anger spread like fire under ice. And beneath Karen's perfect mansion, water kept rising. The storm did not scream at first. It whispered. Snow fell slowly, softly, like it was harmless. But the cold underneath was deadly. Inside his dark house, he sat still. No lights. No heat. Only silence and cold. His phone battery was low. One last check. No signal. He placed the phone down and listened. That was when he heard it. A low, deep sound. Not wind. Not thunder. A crack. It came from inside the walls. He stood up slowly. Another crack followed. Then a sharp pop. Pipes. Frozen pipes. Water was trapped inside them, pushing hard, trying to escape. He knew this sound. It meant damage. It meant money. It meant pain. He walked carefully to the basement with a flashlight. The beam shook as his hands trembled. Water dripped from the ceiling. Slow at first. Then faster. Drip. 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 He placed buckets under the leaks. But he already knew. This house would not survive the night without heat. Across the street, life looked different. Karen's mansion stood bright against the storm. Lights everywhere. Generator running. Security cameras active. Inside, Karen walked across her marble floor, barefoot and warm. She checked her phone. No messages from residents. She smiled. "Rules work," she whispered. She poured herself a glass of wine and sat near the fireplace. Outside, snow climbed higher. Underground, something dangerous was happening. Water pipes under the whole neighborhood were freezing. The HOA had chosen cheaper materials years ago. Karen approved it. It saved money. It looked good on paper. But cheap pipes crack fast. One by one, they started breaking. Water leaked silently into soil. Into basements. Into walls. Karen's phone buzzed. She ignored it. Another buzz. She sighed and answered. "Yes?" A nervous HOA board member spoke. "My basement is flooding." Karen rolled her eyes. "Call a plumber," she said. "They are not answering," he replied. Karen frowned. That was strange. She stood up. At that moment, she heard it too. A loud bang from below. Her smile disappeared. She walked toward the basement door. The stairs were wet. Cold water touched her foot. Her eyes widened. No, no, no. Water rushed across the floor. Boxes floated. Furniture soaked. She screamed for help. Outside, neighbors watched water pouring out of storm drains. Some filmed. Some shouted. One man pointed at Karen's house. "Look!" Water flowed out of her basement windows. The mansion was flooding. The storm was not done. Back in the cold house, he watched water freeze inside his bowl. The dripping slowed. Then stopped. The pipe had fully burst. He leaned against the wall, tired. Then his phone buzzed. One bar of signal. A message appeared. HOA homes flooding. He stared at the screen. For the first time since the storm started. He smiled. Because winter took everything from him. But it was taking something bigger from them. And this was only the beginning. Water has no anger. It does not shout. It does not argue. It only moves. Slow at first. Quiet. Patient. While snow still covered the streets, water was already winning underground. Inside Karen's mansion, the floor felt cold for the first time. She stood at the top of her basement stairs, frozen. Below her, water moved like a living thing. Boxes floated. Papers dissolved. Memories sank. She stepped back. "No, this can't be happening," she whispered. Her phone slipped in her wet hand. She called emergency services. Busy. She called a plumber. No answer. She called the HOA group chat. Messages poured in. "My house is flooding. Basement full of water. Insurance is not responding." Karen swallowed hard. Outside, neighbors gathered despite the storm. Some had candles. Some had flashlights. All had phones. They watched water spill from the large homes. One neighbor whispered, "These are the HOA houses." Another replied, "The same people who took our supplies." Phones went up. Recording started. Inside his cold home, he wrapped himself in a blanket. The bowl under the leak was full of ice now. He checked his phone again. Signal was weak, but news spread fast. Videos everywhere. Big houses. Luxury homes. Flooded basements. He remembered Karen's smile. Rules are rules. The words echoed in his mind. Across the street, Karen tried to save what she could. She lifted expensive rugs. She pushed furniture. But water was stronger. The generator failed. Lights went out. Darkness filled the mansion. Cold followed. For the first time that night, Karen felt fear. She stepped outside. Snow hit her face. Her perfect street looked broken. Water flowed down the road like a river. She saw him standing across the street. Quiet. Still. Watching. Their eyes met. She opened her mouth to speak. But no words came out. She turned away. In that moment, the storm felt different. Not cruel. Not unfair. Just honest. Because water does not care about power. It does not follow HOA rules. And it never forgets where it is pushed. As dawn slowly approached, the storm weakened. But the damage was done. The cold man survived the night. The powerful woman lost control. And the neighborhood would never be the same again. Morning did not bring peace. It brought phones. Snow was still on the ground when the first video went online. A large mansion. Water pouring out of basement windows. Furniture floating like trash. Someone wrote one line under the video. HOA President's house. The video spread fast. Inside his small cold house, he watched the screen carefully. He did not smile. He did not celebrate. He only watched. Because this was not about revenge. This was about truth. Outside, neighbors stood together for the first time. They shared power banks. They shared candles. They shared stories. Everyone had one thing in common. HOA fines. HOA warnings. HOA fear. One woman said, "They took my heater last week." Another man said, "They fined me during the storm." Anger grew. Not loud anger. Cold anger. Across the street, Karen's mansion looked broken. Mud on the walls. Wet carpets thrown outside. Broken furniture stacked like trash. Karen stood in her driveway. No makeup. Wet hair. Shaking hands. A news van arrived. Then another. Cameras pointed at her. "Is it true HOA removed emergency supplies before the storm?" a reporter asked. Karen stayed silent. Inside her phone, messages exploded. Insurance denied claims. Plumbers delayed. Lawyers stopped answering. Why? Because HOA-approved contractors had used cheap materials. Karen approved them. Saved money. Got praise. Now the truth floated to the surface, just like the water. Inside his house, the power flickered back on. Lights returned. Heat slowly came back. He stood near the window. For the first time, he felt warm. Not just in body, but inside. Across the street, Karen covered her face. The cameras kept rolling. And the neighborhood finally saw who really broke the rules. The letter arrived in a plain white envelope. No logo. No warning color. Just paper. Karen opened it with shaking hands. She read the first line and felt her chest tighten. This is a formal notice of investigation. Her world slowed down. For years, she had sent letters like this to others. Fines. Warnings. Threats. Now the rules were knocking on her own door. Across the street, he watched from his window as cars line up near her house. Not neighbors. Lawyers. Inspectors. City officials. People with clipboards. Karen tried to stay strong. She told herself this was a mistake. A misunderstanding. But the questions came fast. Why were emergency supplies removed before a storm? Why were residents fined during a weather emergency? Why were cheaper pipes approved without safety checks? Karen had answers before. Now, she had excuses. Inside a small meeting room at City Hall, she sat alone. No HOA board. No supporters. They had all stepped back. They did not want to fall with her. A video played on the screen. Security footage. HOA workers removing winter supplies. Karen standing there. Smiling. She looked away. Outside the room, people waited. Neighbors. Reporters. Residents who were silent for years. Inside his warm house, he listened to the radio. The reporter spoke clearly. HOA under investigation for abuse of power and safety violations. He closed his eyes. He remembered the cold nights. The empty garage. The fear. This was not happiness. This was release. Back at Karen's mansion, a red notice was placed on the door. Unsafe for occupancy. She could not live there anymore. The house she used to control others from was now closed by rules. She packed a small bag. No helpers. No smiles. As she walked past her neighbors, no one spoke. They did not laugh. They did not shout. They simply watched. Because power is loud when it rises. And very quiet when it falls. That evening, a community meeting was held. No HOA banners. No fines. Just people. They talked about fairness. About safety. About helping each other. Someone stood up and said, "We should never let rules hurt people again." Everyone nodded. Outside, the snow began to melt. Water flowed away. And for the first time, the neighborhood felt free. The sun rose slowly over the snow-covered street. For the first time in weeks, the neighborhood was quiet, in a good way. He stepped outside, feeling the crisp air. No fear. No cold gnawing at his bones. Just calm. The streets were wet, but not dangerous. The water from the flooded mansions had receded. Nature had cleaned what greed had done. He looked across the street. Karen's mansion was empty. Boarded up. Her expensive cars gone. The house silent. He smiled slightly. Not with joy, not with revenge. With relief. With justice. The neighbors came out. Shovels in hand. Helping each other clear the streets. Some were small children, carrying buckets of water from basements that had minor leaks. Everyone worked together, sharing warmth, tools, even hot cocoa. A man shouted, "No more HOA rules that hurt people." Everyone cheered quietly. It was not celebration. It was freedom. He walked slowly through the neighborhood. People waved. Some thanked him. Some nodded in silent respect. The lesson was clear. Power without kindness, rules without heart, always collapses. And karma, well, karma has a way of balancing everything. He paused in front of his own house. The garage was repaired. Winter supplies were back, with neighbors helping him. Small smiles and laughter echoed around. The storm had taken a lot, but it gave something back too. From the edge of the street, someone whispered, "She destroyed his winter, but look at hers now." He chuckled softly. No gloating. No anger. Just peace. As the sun reflected on melting snow, he realized something. Life does not need rules to survive. It needs people to care. And in that moment, the neighborhood felt alive again. Warm. Safe. United. The lesson of the winter would never be forgotten. And neither would the woman who thought rules were stronger than human hearts. She was gone. But her story, and the lesson it brought, would echo in every home on that street, forever. If you liked the video, please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.